Welcome to the experience. I'm Andrew Bieberman. Today we're going to be just going straight into it. This is a podcast about all things movies, talking about what's big and new in the world, and we're just going to get right into it. So let me prop my phone up properly. Now I'm kind of looking through a mug, so that's going to be hard to really see you guys, but it doesn't matter because I'm just going to be talking straight. I want to show you everyone something I just got today. Look at this. This is the James Bond box set. It's pretty cool. There's 7 movies in here. Now, let's just flip it around so you can see. You got Pierce Brosnan on one side, 007 and James Bond's collection on one side, and another Pierce on the other side. So let's just go through every single one. These are really cool. It's funny because this is an era where you wouldn't have media as much stored. Excuse me. You wouldn't have media stored. People tend to just buy, people just stream stuff now. It's very rare to actually have the full DVDs, but that's what I have. That's why I ordered them. It's something you don't see that much, and we're just going to look at every single one. Also, for today's video, we watched Lord of the Rings, we watched Princess Diaries, and we're just going to talk about also Twin Peaks. If there's anything people want to hear about, discuss in the comments, please let me know. All right, so let's get right into this. We'll start with the first one in the collection. You Only Live Twice, a really good movie. And also the cover here is really good. I like this cover. Look at it. You got Connery on the front, just being a badass. He's kind of like looking at something, very determined. He doesn't usually have this determined look on his face. That's what really sold this cover for me. And then you get the back. It's funny, the descriptions are never that interesting. When a U.S. and Soviet-named spaceships are hijacked in Earth's orbit, Agent 007 must race to prevent a nuclear war between the superpowers. His dangerous mission takes him to Japan, where he battles the evil Spectre organization. Its diabolical leader, Ernst Traub Blofeld, on Pleasance. The images are really good. You got Bond on the floor. You got Bond in the little Asian room being held hostage. You got Bond smiling. Bond being chased by a car. Bond in the plane. Bond kissing someone in the field. And you got a shot of Blofeld on the back. These are all shots we got. It's really cool. I'm going to show you the next one now. This is probably one of the most famous Bond films, Goldfinger. A really good addition, too. Spike Lee actually posted this for his God Friday post. Maybe I'll try to include a link to that. But it was for his... He always does a curated cinema pick during quarantine, and he picked this. He said, this is Spike Lee's pick, Goldfinger. I'm a big fan of it. I'm glad he actually did this because he just showed which one's his favorite. I love a lot about Goldfinger. Look at that. You got Jill Masterson there, covered in gold, and then you just got Bond. This isn't even one of the best Bonds. I mean, ever since there's been so many, this is the third one after From Russia with Love and Dr. No. It's still really good. It's just not... It's dated compared to everything else. The action sequences are not as exhilarating. It's very static. The camera just kind of stands there and doesn't move. It leaves you with a sense of you want to see more action. You want there to be more movement and flow. I do think Goldfinger is a little better than You Only Live Twice. They're both really cool, and I just love the You Only Live Twice cover. But Goldfinger, I mean, Sean Connery is the man. Goldfinger is one of the better Bond films. It's awesome. It still has the top quality, the stylistics of it. The way everything looks is great in Goldfinger, especially this one. Thunderball. Thunderball is just one of the most convoluted of the Bond films. I liked it. It's just very, very weird. And I keep saying weird, but let's look at the 3 descriptions at the back. So this description is: the thrills never stop as Agent 007 goes above the call of duty into the bottom of the ocean to track down a villainous criminal who's holding millions hostage and threatening to plunge the world into a nuclear holocaust. Honestly, the title of Thunderball is, it's pretty good, and the description's pretty good. I think it's cheesy, but a little better, and just more... It's more fun than some of the Bond films, I don't know, it's up with Goldfinger. It's just a little silly. They're all very silly. Goldfinger has got to be one of my favorite of the Connery Bonds, though. So, you got Thunderball, which was remade as Never Say Never Again. Goldfinger, and you have You Only Live Twice. And next up on our list is this film, For Your Eyes Only. I gotta say, this is probably the least entertaining one I have. This is a film that opens with Blofeld being dropped into a chimney. It's just not that memorable. And this is one of the worst back descriptions. When a British ship is sunk in foreign waters, the world's superpowers begin a feverish race to find its cargo. A nuclear submarine control system in 007 is thrust into one of his most riveting adventures as he rushes to join the search and prevent global devastation. Haven't seen that before. Yeah, that's the problem with this one. I mean, it's just very average looking. Even the villain in this one is not that good. I don't remember the villain. It's incredibly forgettable. This is probably one of those Bond films that just blends in with every other one. You can, I mean, if you don't see it, it's not a problem. It's just very forgettable. And the title, too, is not that great. For Your Eyes Only. I mean, this is the era of Bond when they were really just at a half ground. It was like a stalemate between good and bad. They didn't have any that were great or any that were so terrible. They were just had the most average Bond films coming out. And it's funny, when you look at the terrible ones, those are usually the ones that are fun. If you do a Kill Octopussy, even if they're really bad, at least there's a semblance of fun to it. This is very boring. At times, you know, there's some cool ski chases, and I believe, does Sheriff J.W. Pepper appear in this? Possibly. I think he's in A View to a Kill and Live and Let Die. But this is just very dry, you know, not a lot of humor, not a lot of action. It smells really good. I love smelling old DVD cases, oddly. It kind of makes you think that what its previous owner, I don't know, what its previous owner was like. I just got a little dog there for a second. Next one. License to Kill. Absolutely adore License to Kill. One of the best Bond films. This isn't even by a long shot one of the more it's funny, people consider this the darkest Bond film. It's not. Casino Royale, Spectre, Skyfall, Quantum of Solace, really any Craig film is darker than this. This is probably the next batch up. After every Craig film comes Timothy Dalton. While The Living Daylights is pretty forgettable, this is really good. This follows Timothy Dalton as 007 as he's tracking down the drug cartel. I'm going to read the back now. James Bond takes on his most daring adventure when he turns renegade and goes head-to-head with one of the international drug cartel's most brutal and powerful leaders. This time he's not just fighting for justice, but for revenge. Yeah, this is a serious one. This is different than most Bond films. 2 hours, 13 minutes. 1989. Funny, one of the better Bonds of the 80s. And I think we went right from A View to a Kill to Living Daylights and then to this. So people didn't want to see like serious Bond. I think they were a little annoyed after The Living Daylights. They didn't feel like this was James Bond. They thought, well, it's very dark, it's very violent. It feels more like, you know, gritty and dark. It's not what we're used to seeing. I think Dalton's one of the better Bonds. I mean, he's so good. He actually encapsulates what Bond is. Like, look at this. This guy's serious. He doesn't smile. He doesn't laugh in the face of death. I mean, he does, but he just takes his job very seriously. And that's one of the better qualities about this Bond. Okay, the next two are two of the more recent ones. Tomorrow Never Dies. Pierce Brosnan's in this. And Michelle Yeoh, she's great, and Terry Hatcher. A deranged media mogul is staging international incidents to pit the world's superpowers against each other. Now 007, Pierce Brosnan must take on the evil mastermind in an adrenaline-charged battle to end his reign of terror and prevent global pandemonium. Every single movie is the same. Every single movie is the same. Except for Casino Royale and Skyfall, they break away a little. Quantum of Solace's discussion of its own. I've done 2 reviews on that. You can check those out. But let's talk about the Tomorrow Never Dies. It's one of the not as great Brosnan films. There's this and Die Another Day. And the 2 that stand above this are clearly Goldeneye and the other one, The World Is Not Enough. The World Is Not Enough is also just problematic. They're all very problematic. It has a cheesy, very cheesy old Bond atmosphere to it. It doesn't feel like almost like a parody as it does a throwback to the old Bond films. This is very new and it feels very modern. You get that touch with it. And it's funny because this is from 1997, but it feels very, very, not contemporary. It just feels like it was not made for an audience in the 50s. People would have lost their minds if they saw James Bond being tortured and die another day or getting his balls slapped in Casino Royale. It's funny. James Bond is tortured in 2 movies back to back. And audiences in the 50s would have lost their mind. I'm sorry, audiences in the 60s would have lost their mind if they saw Sean Connery getting his balls slapped with a paperweight and 9-pound rope. So, yeah, this is just it's fun, very, very, very goofy. Not as goofy as Die Another Day. And goofy is not a bad thing. But when it comes to Bond, people look at it like it has majesty and royal, and it just shouldn't be goofy. Okay, so here's one of the better Bond films from the Brosnan era, definitely the best, Goldeneye. Goldeneye is a movie I have some memories with. You know, I saw this twice. Once I saw it, the whole movie, I sat through it, but I have some good childhood memories of seeing this at home and watching on an Epix when it came out. I watched this the same month I started film school, and it just got me into Bond. It's not one of the classics in my opinion. It's not one that I'll look at and I'll say I grew up watching this. It's just a fun movie. It knows how to handle its set pieces and how to deliver a real fun action story. And Goldeneye is just smart for that reason. It's sharp. It's fun. Pierce Brosnan ignites the screen in his first adventures in the unstoppable James Bond. When a powerful satellite system falls into the hands of a former ally turned enemy, only 007 can save the world from an awesome space weapon that in one short pulse could destroy the Earth. Spoiler, it doesn't. So, yeah, those are all my James Bond films for now. I have 2 more sets coming, and I'm going to unbox them for you. Yeah, and then that will be another episode of the podcast where we just review and discuss. We have to talk about a lot of things, like Twin Peaks. We have to talk about the Peanut Butter Falcon. We have to talk about the Princess Diaries and Lord of the Rings. Before we can get to any of that, I'm still not sure where this goes. It was part of my collection. It just comes with, all the titles are listed on there. You can see that. So yeah, I'm just going to slide that back in my box with all my other DVDs. It's very nice getting this neatly to go in. Very tough. Tougher than I thought. Anyway, let's talk, because I would just like to discuss several things. So, what's the deal with the Princess Diaries? It's a movie I saw a while ago, and I didn't really love it. But I rewatched it, and I didn't like it either that much. I thought it was fine. I think it's a good movie. I just think it's not great. It could be a lot better. It could be a lot more fun. But it's just not great.